Hi everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path, and I wanted to tell you about my experience with Shaketember. I did participate in Shaketember, and I want to relay that experience to you. I love Shakespeare. It's been a long time since I've read anything by or about Shakespeare, and I got some great books. I bought some, and I got some from the library, and I want to share with you. So the first one that I want to talk about are the sonnets. Now, I've always loved the sonnets. I've always loved them because of the mystery of them, and there is a little mystery to them. I bought this book, this particular book, which was edited by, let's see who edited it, John Dover Wilson. So John Dover Wilson wrote this introduction, which I think is in itself, it's more like an essay, and he talks about being an octogenarian losing his sight when he was asked to edit this book of sonnets. And I'm telling you, the introduction, I loved it. It was like reading something from the 19th century. And it was just wonderful. I learned things. I learned that the three people that we need to be concerned about with the sonnets are the friend, the golden friend, the dark lady, and the rival poet. And I learned that the sonnets have appeared in folios and quartos and everything in different orders. And so nobody really knows the order that they're supposed to go into. And I thought that was fascinating. Yeah, I thought, and then they tried to group together. They can pretty much tell which ones talk about the rival poet, and which ones talk about the dark lady, and which ones talk about the friends. But when they were written and everything, and the way they tell the story of, which I didn't even know they told a story. The story of the golden friend, the lovely friend who is a young man that it looks like Shakespeare has from the sonnets. It looks like Shakespeare has deep feelings for, deep emotional feelings for, because at first he's trying to get him to get married. He's trying to get the friend to get married because he's so wonderful and he's so beautiful. He should have children and everything like that. And then it kind of turns to he's in love with the young friend. And then, but he's also in love with the dark lady, which he knows he shouldn't be in love with. But then the dark lady and the friend betray him. And those are part of the sonnets. And what's his name again? I have to look his name up here. John Dover Wilson, who I'm talking about here, he also has a theory about the rival poet. And his theory on the rival poet, which I thought was really interesting because, you know, I'm a surface Shakespearean scholar. Like I'm not a scholar by any stretch of the imagination. But when we talk about the rival poet, of course, I'm always thinking about Marlowe. But then I have to remember that Marlowe was dead by the time he was stabbed in a bar fight, by the time these sonnets came out. So then there were other people that, you know, he could have been talking about. Well, John Dover Wilson comes up with a theory that there is no rival poet, that the rival poet he is referring to all of the poets and playwrights and creatives that are trying to, in a way, mimic his style. And he's sort of being a little bit pompous and saying, oh, the rival poet is trying to get after me, but they'll never get after me because I'm Shakespeare and everything. And that was really interesting to learn about. And then I started reading some of the sonnets, and some of the sonnets are a little dull. I mean, I read a lot of them, but I couldn't read all the sonnets. I mean, maybe one day when I'm retired in a rest home, that will be a goal for me, is to read the sonnets straight through and see if I can identify, without it being laid out for me, if I can identify which ones are to the the favorite friend and which ones are to the dark lady. The dark lady I think I would get pretty easily, but the rival poet and everything like that. But this was an excellent book, and I would highly recommend it to anyone, but based on the introduction only, because you can get all sorts of copies of the sonnets, but the introduction on this one was one of the best scholarly look at the sonnets I have ever read. So high marks for that. And then I thought I'll read a play. And my two favorite plays, I'm not big into the comedies, my two favorite plays are Hamlet and Macbeth. And I thought I'm gonna go ahead and read Macbeth because it is spooky season and we've got witches and we've got Thane of Glamis and will this hand never be clean and everything. And I got this is the high school version. This is the one, it's the New Folger Library, but this is the one that you probably read in high school, if you read Macbeth in high school. And it's got let me show you here. It's got the text on one side, the text of the play, and on the other side it has the explanations of the words, the glossary, and why it's important and everything like that. And I thought, well, that's going to really help me because it's been a long time since I've read Shakespeare. Didn't need it at all. Macbeth is a very readable play. It's gripping, exciting, it's sad, it is wonderfully creepy. He runs into the witches. I'd forgotten how many times he runs into the witches and how they disappear, and the Thane of Glamis, and is it Thane of Glamis? Somebody out there will correct me. But the murderers and Banquo's ghost. I'd forgotten what an important scene that was, Banquo's ghost. And yeah, I loved Macbeth. And my second son did not read Macbeth in school. My first son did, but my second son didn't read in school. So I'm like, this is your reading project for September. And he took it and he's gonna read it. So, third one I got that I didn't finish was North by Shakespeare. Now, this is a big, massive book, and it's called A Rogue Scholar's Quest for the Truth Behind the Bard's Work. Now, normally, I don't like these people at all. I am a Stratfordian through and through. I don't believe that someone else wrote Shakespeare's plays. And I think that people that believe that are just a little bit wacky. I mean, I know we don't have a lot of information on Shakespeare, but why would we? They didn't keep a lot of records back there in Elizabethan times and everything like that, and plagiarism was rampant. There was no copyright, and so, people were it was more often seen quoting Shakespeare in later plays than Shakespeare quoting. Now, we do know that Shakespeare used Plutarch's lives as the basis for Antony and Cleopatra, and is it Titus and Andronicus? The histories, some of the histories. But this gentleman right here, I'm gonna show you a picture of him because the picture of him really put me off. Here he is. Now, it put me off because he was such a good-looking man. And let me kind of go through my theory on this. So the first part of the book, the book is written not by that guy, but the book is written by Michael Blandy, who is like a newspaper writer. And he went to the Harvard Kennedy School. He taught writing at Tufts University, Emerson College, and he is a very good writer, and it's a very readable book. And the North that he is referring to is a man by the last name of North, And he is the real good looking one, and he believes that there was a guy by the name of North, I've forgotten his first name, who wrote the plays and then sold them to Shakespeare. Yeah, that's his theory. And he didn't graduate college, and he was talking about having illegitimate children, and he was talking about, being a big Frisbee player, and he's super intelligent. And I do not for 1 second think that you have to have a degree to be super intelligent, because my mother is one of the most intelligent women I've ever met in my whole life, and she does not have a degree. And the people that I work with, several of them do not have a degree, and they are some of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. So I don't think that piece of paper means a lot. But I do think that when you're good looking, people kind of gloss over things a little bit. Like what he did was he used AI, and he took the Shakespearean plays against what North had written, and he used AI and he kind of matched them up, and he saw so many similarities in them that he came to this conclusion. It's more complicated than that, it's deeper than that, but I'm giving you the 10,000 foot view. So I was sitting there thinking, well, wouldn't there be a lot of similarities anyway, because North and Shakespeare were contemporaries of each other, and you have the language, and there would be similarities with the language, and there would be, like, how many ways can you say dreamy night? I mean, how many ways can you say golden sun? And I just thought that people, when they met this guy, because the author was telling us that when you meet him, he's charming and he's affable and everything like that, and it just gave me bad vibes. It gave me, I don't remember the name of the play. Was it The Rainmaker? I don't remember the name of the play. But it gave me that Henry Higgins kind of, not Henry Higgins, oh my God, what's his name? The guy from The Music Man. It gave me that kind of scam artist kind of feel. And he probably doesn't deserve that. And if he ever watches this, which I'm sure that he won't, he will be very offended. But I just thought, what a silly premise to just put the two, to let AI do all this work. You're not a Shakespearean scholar. There's people that have devoted their lives to crawling through dusty libraries looking for these manuscripts and everything like that, and letters and all this kind of stuff. And then you're just going to sit at your dining room table and you're going to use AI to compare the language, and then you're going to come up with this proposition that this guy North wrote all the plays and sold them to Shakespeare? What? Excuse me, what? So anyway, didn't like that book, put it down, couldn't read it. And so I started last night because I think I needed something a little more uplifting. I started The Lilies of the Field. And I can't wait to review this one with you. It's a tiny book. It won't take me long to review. But in conclusion, I would like to say Shakespeare is a genius. And if you are not a Shakespearean lover, if you're only barely interested in him or anything like that, then I still say give him a read. Give him a short read. Try to get past the language, because I do think that one man out of centuries wrote some of the most beautiful prose ever that we've ever seen. And you can argue that other people have written it, and you can argue that he never wrote it or anything like that, which I don't believe. But it's beautiful, and it's soul inspiring. And I'm glad that I took part in Shaketember. I have never taken part in any of those monthly things or anything like that. So yeah, Shakespeare, 2 thumbs up. And I will check you later.